welcome everybody. I am Will, calling from Jackson, Wyoming. We'll do intros in a moment, and we'll have Graham and Allie intro the food as well at that time. But just extremely excited for this group and this conversation. Graham and Allie and I were talking in preparation for the theme of the future of farming, and which could be called the future of food, I think, potentially. We explored the idea of it being specifically urban agriculture, and we decided to kind of make it a little bit more broad and step back from that exact realm. But I think we'll be discussing that in some respects today. So I'm really looking forward to. But my very, very limited experience with farming myself would just be that growing up in upstate New York, where Graham and I are from, we were lucky to live in a spot where the downtown of Rochester was 15 minutes from the countryside, and the country and the farmland felt really, really approachable. And so there was, I'd say, a decent level of connectivity between the city and the neighboring land. And so I'm really looking forward to discussing with you all and hearing your unique perspectives when it comes to that connectivity component, as well as scalability and how that kind of expands to each of your own experiences here. So without further ado, I'll pass it off to Jen. Jen, a little intro about yourself.
Okay, my name is Jen Tennekin, and I'm a documentary filmmaker. I live in Jackson Hole. I've lived here since 2002, and I've focused on community storytelling. My last 3 films have been broadcast on PBS, and the most recent one is about an urban farm, although I guess people could argue since it's in Jackson, maybe it's rural. But anyway, it's about a vertical farm that has a dual mission, year-round food for the community and also meaningful, competitively paid jobs for community members with disabilities. And so that's my connection to sustainable agriculture, is having made a film about it. So I'm sure I know just enough to be dangerous.
Perfect. We'll go around my virtual clock here. Rocky Burns.
Yeah, I'm Rocky Burns, and I'm actually a second generation commercial crab fisherman. I also work as a fish broker for my own company, Legacy Seafood, and Sustainable Seafood. So I'm kind of, I guess, excited to bring that part of the piece to this puzzle, whatever that may look like. So here I am.
Skip over to Jeff.
Jeff Dawson. I'm a organic biodynamic farmer in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've been farming for about 30 years, and 20 of those years have been biodynamic, doing food production and also working as a vineyard consultant up in the Napa Valley with the biodynamic farming techniques.
Super cool. And then Linnea's on the move, and Linnea, your last.
I was living in San Francisco, and I'm currently based, I moved out here in March. I moved to northern New Hampshire. So I'm over on the East Coast, and I've been studying permaculture for the last couple of years, and am currently in school for horticulture. So I'm actually growing my first garden on my own up here and volunteering in a community garden locally. So that's my connection.
Beautiful. We lost Graham and Allie for a second here, so we'll have their food intro when they get back. But Jeff, can you give us a little more on what exactly biodynamic farming is?
Biodynamic farming has a foundation of organic farming, so no use of pesticides, herbicides, chemicals. It's a holistic form of farming that takes into consideration not only what's going on in the soil and the earth, but it looks out to the cosmos and the influence of the sun, the moon, the planets, and the stars. And it's based on healing the earth is ultimately what it sets out to do. And through this farming practice, it is intended to create food with higher nutrition that helps develop the human being's potential.
And so when you say that it reaches out to the cosmos and the stars. What can you give an example of how it does that? I'm really curious.
Oh, well, there's different rhythms, natural rhythms, the rhythm of the moon, the rhythm of the sun, the rhythm of the seasons. There's a daily rhythm of the earth exhaling in the morning and inhaling in the evening. And so when we pay attention to these different rhythms, we can use them as tools of enhancement in terms of planting, plant growth, when we spray things. There's a biodynamic calendar that shows us when the moon is in front of different constellations, which we have earth sign, water sign, air sign, and fire sign, and those relate to different parts of the plant. So if the moon is in front of an earth sign, we would plant things that relate to the root, like carrots and beets and things like that. If we were going to grow fruit, like tomatoes or eggplants, then we'd do that in a fire sign, which is related to the fruit part of the plant. So these things enhance the growth and stimulation of the plants when they're connected to those celestial events.
Is biodynamic farming widely followed? I know the name, but I guess I never knew the context of it like this.
It's really popular and well known in Europe, which is where it started. And some of the top world-class wineries in France, Italy, Spain are biodynamic. And so there's been a movement in the farming community starting in the East Coast, but it really is spread through the wine industry. So there's numerous wineries that are practicing biodynamic agriculture and producing biodynamic wines in the United States.
Wow, very interesting. Ellie, did you have any questions on that? I know when we were talking about having Jeff on, you were super excited about the biodynamic farming.
Well, I think most of it came from the fact that, like you, I had heard of biodynamic farming through like Sonoma and Napa wines, but I never really thought of it. I just thought of it as like another branch of organic farming, but didn't realize how like celestial ties were so important. And like how, I don't know, Jeff, if you want to get into it, I don't know, we are having difficulty with our Wi-Fi right now, so I'm on my phone, but so I was wondering if you wouldn't mind going into the like the sprays and the composting and the necessities, or like the things that you put into those, like the valerian and the chamomile. And I just think that I think compost and soil nutrients is like one of the most important parts of farming and gardening. And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind just going into detail about like the importance of those things and the preparations that you put together for composting and the like compost teas.
So in an effort to connect the plant to the forces of the earth and the forces of the cosmos, because those are which have the greatest influence on the plant itself, beyond on an energetic level. There are 7 different preparations that are used in a biodynamic system. The first one is BD 500, which is cow manure that's been placed in a cow horn and buried during the winter. And during the winter, it absorbs the forces of decomposition and fertility that is radiant in the earth that time of year. Dig it up in the spring, and it goes in green, smelly manure. It comes out dark, rich compost. So it goes through a massive transformation. This material is stirred, half a cup is stirred with 3 gallons of water for an hour, so that the forces within that matter is brought into the water and sprayed upon the soil, and it activates the soil, and it increases the earth's energy and the plant's connection to that energy, and it enlivens the soil. It activates the earthworms and all the soil biology, and within 2 to 3 years, you can take dead soil and turn it into incredibly vibrant living soil. And then the main preparation is the horn silica, which is quartz crystal crushed into a powder. placed in the horn again, buried in the ground during the summer, where it absorbs the forces of heat and light. And so this is dug up in the fall, and it's sprayed on the plants in the air above the crop, and it helps bring the plant to fruit, flower, maturation, and the development of color and flavor. So this is a really important tool that most farming systems don't have, because if you have a cold summer, you can use this material to aid in the plant's ripening process and the development of flavors that generally wouldn't happen if you don't have the heat and light. Say you have a lot of overcast, clouds, things like that. So it's a unique tool that the biodynamic farmer has. And then there's 6 preparations that go into a compost that helps organize the compost in terms of its nutrient value, and it really takes all the different materials that go into the compost, whether it's plant waste or dairy manure or wood chips, and it takes all those different materials and helps organize the nutrient content so that it's a very vibrant, fully energetic compost that goes back into the soil and informs the plant in terms of healing the soil.